Hey guys, how's it going? So today I thought it would be fun to learn the groove that I came up with the other day. So basically the groove from just a few days ago, where I was using the double thump technique followed by 2 plucks. It had that kind of rhythm, bump, 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 starting out. So if you haven't seen it, it's a short on my channel, and it kind of sounds like this. And that's the whole thing, at least on the video. So basically, all you're doing is you're taking sort of a B minor box. So it's kind of like a B minor pentatonic scale. Only instead of using this note, we're going to use the open D string. And so basically the first thing we do is we kind of use, like if you're a guitar player, you might know about power chords. We're going to use like the 2nd fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, and 4th fret on the G string. And so basically you just hold that shape. It's just 2, 4, and 4. 2nd fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, 4th fret on the G string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our thumb kind of like a pick. We're going to go down on the A string and up on the A string. So we're just going to do that one time. Bum, bum. That's the idea. So down, up. And you notice when I go down, it just kind of stops on the next string. It doesn't go through that one too. And then I just come back up using kind of the thumbnail. And if you're on the polyurethane strings, you can still do this. You just have to do it really lightly. Then we're going to pluck the D string, and we're going to pluck the G string. So the D string at the pointer finger and the G string at the middle finger. And it's almost like we're popping. We're giving it a little bit more force than a normal pluck. Okay. So down, up, pluck, pluck. So the down, up is on the A string. The first pluck is on the D string. The second pluck is on the G string. And remember, we're holding this chord down. And you can kind of roll it. You don't have to hold all 3 notes down or it'll ring out. But you could just go, let like your hand like roll. So it's like you get this note and then you're rolling onto the next note, so that the notes don't ring out over the other notes. Okay. So after that, I'm adding in a backbeat. And that's where I just kind of take my hand up and kind of set it down. You don't have to set it down forcefully, just enough to get a little click. Just like let gravity do its thing, basically. So down, up, pluck, pluck, and then your hands, whoops, let me do it from this angle, floating. And you're just kind of letting your whole hand just hit all the strings, basically. Just let it sit there. It doesn't have to bounce off. Just let it sit there. So down, up, pluck, pluck, slap kind of, but that's our backbeat groove. And then after that, I have my fingers move down below the strings. And so then I'm getting a ghost note out of the G string with my pointer finger while getting my middle finger ready again for where we're back into the original playing position. And that's a ghosted note, which means I'm not pushing down with the other hand. I'm just letting the finger sit on the strings. So it would sound like that if you played, or like that if you popped a note. Once again, you don't have to pop that string. You can just very lightly hit it. So we've got down, up, pluck, pluck, then the slap for the backbeat where we just let our hand hit the strings. Doesn't really matter. No accuracy really needed. You just hit all the strings, whatever. And then you have a light pluck from the pointer finger after that. So down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, pop. Not a pop, it's just like a light pluck. Okay, and the reason we did that with our pointer finger instead of our middle finger on the G string is because the next note's going to be a middle finger note on that G string. And that's going to be the 2nd fret on the G string. That's just a normal played note with the middle finger. Then we're going to play the 4th fret on the D string after that. So 2nd fret G string, then 4th fret on the D string. So here's that whole pattern again. So then we do the same notes again. That 2 on the G string, that 4 on the D string. So we end up with 2, 4, 2, 4. So, okay. And then we end up with the 2nd fret on the D string after that. So not on the G string this time. This time it's on the D string. Then we're going to hit it again, but this time we're going to use our pointer fingernail to kind of strum just that D string. My secret there is this hand is muting the G string so it doesn't ring out, and then this hand, the thumb, will mute the A string right when you go for that. So you don't have to be super accurate with your pointer finger just hitting the D string, but it does have to hit the D string. It can go through and hit the other string, and that just adds a little bit of extra percussive attack. So that's what we're doing there. And then the next note after that, that's the 2nd fret on the E string, by the way, that we're doing that pointer finger forcefully hitting with the fingernail part. Let me say it again. Yeah, so the second of those. So first we pluck that 2nd fret on the E string. Then the next note is going to be where we're strumming down with the pointer fingernail. And if the other fingers hit the other strings, that's fine. But just make sure that 2nd fret on the D string that you are hitting that with the fingernail of the pointer finger. That's where we are. And after that note, we're going to do this little hammer-on pull-off. So we're already on the 2nd fret on the E string. We're going to hammer onto the 4th fret, and then we're going to pull off back to the 2nd fret. So 2, hammer onto 4, pull off to 2. So we got, let's see. Okay, and then from there, after we do this little 2nd fret, hammer onto 4th fret, pull back off to 2nd fret. Now we're going to pull off from the 2nd fret to the open D string. And that's pretty much it. But there is a second half to it. So that's the first half, but I want you to just master that. So if you're just now joining, I'm going to go over this again. This is a groove that I just made up a few days ago, and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to teach it. So once again, we're going to start with this like B minor power chord thing. So you're pushing down the 2nd fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, and 4th fret on the G string. So if you've already watched this, this is just a recap. We're going to go down and up with the thumb on the A string, like using it like a pick. Then we're going to pluck the D and the G string. So it's down, up, pluck, pluck. And pointer finger is getting the D string, your middle finger is getting the G string. Then we're going to add a ghost note after that. And but where we're going to do that is kind of like you're doing a slap note, but you're really letting your whole hand just kind of fall on the strings. So you get a little click sound out of it, and you can mute the strings with this hand so that you won't hear any other notes while you're doing that. So we got it. And then after that, we're going to pluck the G string with our pointer finger this time so that our middle finger is ready to go for the next note. So Down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, pop with the or pluck with the pointer finger. Down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, pluck. That's kind of the basis of this groove. So if you can get those like 6 hits down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's the basis of the groove. Down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, pluck. That will take a while to get used to, but that's the idea there. So that was the part that I haven't been playing yet today, but that part's in there too. So down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, pluck. And then we're going to play the 2nd fret on the G string. And that's just a middle finger plucking the G string. Then 4th fret on the D string. Then back to the 2nd fret on the G string. And then back to the 4th fret on the D string. So it's just 2, 4, 2, 4, 2 on the G string, 4 on the D string. So we got. So just get that down. And notice how my hand's kind of like in this shape. It's not all spread out. It's just like everything's really close together like that. And you can see my pointer finger is sticking up just a little more than the middle so that it's perfectly set up to pluck either one of those strings when I get there. So, okay. And then after that, we have the 2nd fret on the D string. Okay, that's just a normal pluck note with the pointer finger too. So you're basically going to pluck 2 notes with the pointer finger in a row. 2, 4, 2, 4, 2. That 4 and 2 at the end are both pointer finger notes. Let me do it one time slowly so you get the whole feel of that groove. Okay, that's where we're at now. Okay, so once we're there, we're going to do a kind of a strummed note. So if you're familiar with Les Claypool of Primus, he does this a lot, where he uses his fingers to kind of strum the strings. A lot of other bass players do too. He just can't. And so what you're going to do is you're going to strum down right on the 2nd fret on the 2nd fret on the D string. D as in dog. Okay, and so that's just hitting that with that pointer fingernail, and I'm muting the strings around it. So that's kind of the secret, is I'm just muting the strings around it so you can hear that one. And if I accidentally hit the other ones, it's just adding an extra click sound to it because it's meant to be percussive, kind of like a snare drum. That's our other backbeat. So we had a backbeat here, right? That's the first backbeat. That's the second one. It's a different sound, but it still works. Yeah. And then the next thing after that, once we hit that strummed backbeat, we're going to hammer onto the 4th fret, pull off to the 2nd fret, and then pull off to the open D string. That's all on the D string. So from that point, you're strumming the 2nd fret of the D string, and then the rest are just hammer on, pull off, pull off. So it's all just left-hand stuff after that initial strum. So you're going 2nd fret, hammer on to 4th, pull off to 2nd, pull to open, all in the D string. That might take a while. You want to practice that slowly. That's just another part to just break down. You don't have to pull your hand away like I am. I'm just demonstrating that it's all left hand doing these 2nd fret, 4th fret, 2nd fret, open. So now we're at, that's where we are. And you can see the second half's pretty similar. It's just going to add a little slide in a minute. So let's go through the second half. The second half starts the same way. Down, up, pluck, pluck. Then we have that that slapped note where we're just muting. It's just like the dead weight of our hand falling on the strings. Then we're going to pluck the 2nd fret of the G string with our pointer finger, just like we did the first time. So, oh, it's a ghosted note, by the way. It's going to be just plucking the muted G string there. Then we're going to play the second fret of the G string, and we're still doing the same thing where we do the 2 on the G string, 4 on the D string, back to 2 on the G string, back to 4 on the G string. But then right after this, we're going to hit a 4th fret on the G string this time. This is the different part. And we're going to slide immediately when we hit it. So don't hit it and then slide, but right at the same time. Pluck and slide so that you end up on the 6th fret. So we got... And then I believe I did that, the other backbeat. It's going to be on the 4th fret of the G string. And we're going to be doing that fingernail thing where our fingernail will go through the G string and the rest of our hand can fall on the other strings just to give it that extra backbeat sound. So it's almost like our hand is having to fall and hit the strings at the same time that the fingers are just going out so the pointer finger can strum that note. Oh, sorry. And then after that, we're just going to pluck the 2nd fret on the G string and the 4th fret on the D string like we've been doing a lot. So we've got... And then that time, so that's just... I don't know if I hit the open A string with it. I don't think I did, so... So that last one, you still do the down, up, pluck, pluck thing on the kind of B power chord shape. 2nd fret on the A string, 4th fret on the D string, and 4th fret on the G string. Down, up, pluck, pluck. That same thing that we've been doing. So we'd still do that. Still do the backbeat where we let our hand just hit. Down, up, pluck, pluck. Let the hand just fall on the strings while muting over here. And then you're going to pluck with the pointer finger. And then your middle finger is going to come up, get the 2nd fret on the G string, and then we're going to play the last note as an octave. We're kind of plucking 2 strings at the same time. And that's going to be the A string and the G string. And this is just if you want to end the groove. You could choose not to do this part and kind of hold out and do the cycle a few more times of the first 2 parts. But when you're ready to end it, you just do that. Down, up, pluck, pluck, slap, which this isn't really slap, so it's like your hand hitting the strings. It's the backbeat note. Then plucking your pointer finger on a ghosted note, then your middle finger is going to get the 2nd fret on the G string, like we said already. I'm just recapping it. And then the last note is just you're plucking 2nd fret on the A string and 4th fret on the G string at the same time. That's how we end it. But yeah, there's a lot of little subtle things going on in here. So I'm very aware that this might be too hard for a lot of you guys to just jump in and know, okay, down, up, pluck, pluck with the thumb. That sounds kind of crazy to me. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. So you could play the groove without all the crazy frills, without, like we took out all the extra techniques and just played it with normal plucking. There'd be no backbeat. There'd be no strum notes. And we might take out the ghost notes as well. So it would be like... I still added the ghost note at the end. But yeah. But that's what it would sound like without all the... without all the extra stuff. So let's go over that real quick. That's just 2nd fret on the A string 2 times. We're just going to pluck them normally. We're not going to do all the crazy techniques now. So you're going to go 2, 2. So that's the second fret on the A string. Just play that twice. Then play the fourth fret on the D string and the fourth fret on the G string. Okay, that's that. It's the first part. Then we've got, that's going to be the second fret on the G string and the fourth fret on the D string. Then back to the second fret on the G string. Then back to the fourth fret on the D string. So 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. Those are the fret numbers. So A string, D string, sorry, A string, D string, G string. Then we'll be on the second fret on the G string. Then the fourth fret on the D string. And then do that same thing again. Second fret on the G string and fourth fret on the D string. Okay, so we've got that much. And there's a pause in there, right? So 2, 2, 4, 4, wait. Then do the 2, 4, 2, 4, which is second fret on the G string and the fourth fret on the D string notes 2 times. So wait. So that's how it is, right? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1 E, and actually it's 1 E and a 2 and a 3 E and. Okay. And a 3 E. So then after that, you'll play the second fret on the D string. Okay? And then the last thing, you could choose to do hammer-ons and pull-offs or not, but the notes are going to be all on the D string for this last little part. 2, 4, 2, open. 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, open, if you played them all. Or if you did the hammer-on pull-offs for those last notes. That would just mean you wouldn't be plucking them. You'd be pushing down to get the fourth fret, pulling off with enough force to get the second fret again, and then pulling off with enough force to get the open string. So you could do that where you just play the first note, hammer on, pull off, but you don't have to. So the most basic form of this groove, that's the basic part. I'm not going to go through the rest of it with the, because I think you can figure that out. But if you just get the basic part of the groove, you could just do that over and over. So the hardest part of this is when you get done with the groove, you got to go right back to the first note and do it again. Okay, so that's the basics of it. And then if you want to, you can add the backbeat in second, right? And then this is the hard one. You might have to add a strum to get that in. So anyway, you can kind of build up this groove, and you can do this with other grooves that you do. So if you come up with a groove, you want to add a backbeat to it, those are usually on beats 2 and 4. So basically, you just have to know your groove well enough to know where beats 2 and 4 fall within it. And if there's nothing on a beat, you can just do this kind of backbeat. But if there is a note on the beat, you might have to strum through the note like that, where I'm like using my fingernail and pushing down the note, and then using the rest of my hand to kind of mute the other strings, so I don't end up with all these other strings ringing out if I don't want them to. So that's basically all I'm doing there is starting with a groove, and then I'm adding a backbeat into it, right? Okay, or then I'm adding a few more pull-offs, and after that, I'm just adding the double thumb, the down up with the thumb, so I can assign my fingers to a string so I can play it faster. So that's the basic idea. So hopefully that helps, giving you the really basic version of the groove, and then saying just add techniques to it as you go. And then the backbeat really might be a good final thing, because that's like just adding the drums to it, right? So it might be kind of cool to just play the groove first. And then add the backbeat first, and maybe then that extra ghost after. Right? And then adding the extra ghost note to fill out the space. Right, but you don't really need that note. It's just a nice little extra, just little thing in there. So that's pretty cool, and that's like a cool way to do it. I'm just going to do this acoustically. I just wanted to demonstrate that you can do it with the polyurethane strings. It's just going to sound, and yeah, I've got the double neck just because it's kind of handy right now. So if you're wondering if you can only do it on the metal strings, no, you can do it on here. You'll probably end up with more string noise if you plug it in. But that's why I was doing it on the other one, because that has the flat wound metal strings, whereas this one has the polyurethane strings. So that's kind of the idea. I know it's a lot quieter on here, but yeah, that's the basics of that groove. I just came up with that the other day and just thought it might be kind of fun to share that with you, but more for the concept than just being able to play that one. There's a whole lot of things going on there, adding different techniques on the right hand, the left hand, you know, those techniques, and then the backbeat. So now we're through the groove. Do you guys have any questions? I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, so I want to make sure that the chat is working. But do you guys have any questions about string types, or do you have any questions about anything else to do with the U-bass at this point? Because that was my main thing, was just wanting to get through that groove. Also, with it being holiday season, if you have any questions about holiday songs and how to approach them, I've gone over that in years past, but I don't think I've gone over. Well, I know I haven't gone over that this year yet. So just let me know if that's something that you would want to work on. I'm going to try to temporarily pull up, if it'll let me, the chat on my phone, because I don't know. Normally people leave comments in the chat by now, so I'm wondering if it's working right. So if you have the ability to leave a comment in the chat, let me know, just so that I know that the chat is working correctly. And if it's not working correctly, well, then this is how I'll figure it out, I guess. So let me click on here and see if anybody has said anything. Let me turn this ad down. It might disrupt the ad. It might disrupt things. Okay. Okay, cool. So people are posting right now. Chat is working. That's great. So thank you so much for showing me that. It showed up on here first, but it did show up on here right after. So I'm just going to say thank you to you guys for doing that. I'll even type it. Thank you. Hello. So yeah, thanks for joining, and hopefully you enjoyed kind of going through that groove. I just kind of like combining things like that. And so a lot of times you might be like, where does this get used, right? If you're a everyday bass player, you may not do the down and up with the thumb very often. You can sneak it into certain things every now and then, but it's not really appropriate in a lot of songs, right? So so basically when I add the backbeats, it's like if you don't have a drummer and you don't have somebody strumming percussively, you may want to add backbeats to your bass lines. So that's something that you can do. Okay, so let's see. I think we've got a question over here. United Effect says, I have a Kali U bass with black poly strings. It goes out of tune constantly. Suggestions for alternative strings. Well, if you're willing to make little adjustments to the bass, basically you have the options of these, which are the metal flat wound strings. If you don't like the polyurethane at all, if it's just those particular ones, then that's a little bit different. I have a quick question for you though. How long have you had the U bass? And do you know which strings they are? Do you know if they're the Aquila Thunder Guts, or sorry, Thunder Blacks, or do you know if they are the Road Toad, or the was it Pahoehoe? If you know which kind of strings they are, that'll help me know if it's just, oh, get this other brand of strings instead, or if it's brand new, it may just be that you haven't stretched the strings out enough. But otherwise, yeah, they may just not be holding as well. You're going to have to tune either way. You're saying constantly. So if they're constantly going out of tune, it may be that the strings need to be stretched a little bit if they're brand new. And the way you would do that is just kind of, pull on them a little bit every now and then to make them go flat on purpose, and then tighten them back up to tune. And then just do that a few times in a row, maybe before you play each time. And then usually after a week or so, they won't go out of tune anywhere near as easily, but they will go out of tune still, but not the word constantly. So it also depends on what you mean by constantly. If it's just like once a day, like you pick it up the next day and they're out of tune, I'm not sure that the metal strings will be perfect about that either. So don't expect them to be completely perfect. You will have to tune. To me, the metal strings are easier to tune because they don't get stuck on the bridge as easily as long as you have big enough grooves cut out. Whereas the polyurethane strings, I think sometimes they can get kind of like caught here. So while you're pulling there, and then all of a sudden it'll jump up once that little part that's caught gets pulled through. Once the tension is high enough to pull it through, rather than just going up a little bit, dun, it'll go like dun, and then you'll have to detune to like bring it back. So it just gets a little bit iffy there. But yeah, thank y'all for letting me know that the chat does work. So if you have anything else that you want to say, just let me know. Okay, and so then United Effects says it's not brand new. The bass was given to me. Have to tune it every 10 minutes or so. That sounds like a lot. Still, if the strings weren't ever stretched properly, it may be that. If you have stretched them and you know that that's not it, I'm just going to go with that, because we already talked about what to do if you want to try stretching them a little bit. And you don't stretch them like hard. You just kind of, just a little bit here and there, make them go out of tune, and then tune them back up to pitch. Make them go out of tune by doing that, then tune them back up to pitch. And eventually, maybe they'll sit a little bit better because they'll just be a little more tension pulling on there. However, if on the other end, if the knots weren't tied right, that might mess you up. Sounds like you have a banjo. That's funny. Are you saying what I'm doing right now playing, or are you saying the tuning problem? Having to tune every 10 minutes. I'm not sure which thing you're saying that to, Greg, but it's funny either way. Retuning all the time. Yeah. Yeah, or a 12-string guitar. At least we don't have 12 strings. That's all I gotta say. Okay. It would go out all the time. Okay. So yeah, guitars are kind of that way too, depending on what kind you get and if it has what kind of tremolo system it has. But that's beside the point. If you end up getting the flat wound strings, they will hold tune better. I'm not going to say they're perfect, but they might not go out every 10 minutes. So, I mean, I can check them. It's been more than 10 minutes. Let's see if they're out of tune. Ooh, they went sharp. Sometimes it has to do with the weather, right? So the temperature dropped here. Even inside the house, it dropped a little bit. And usually when the temperature drops, my basses tend to go sharp a little bit. And I think just I don't know if it's the length of the instrument or if it's just the particular wood they use, but it seems like it goes sharp a little bit more on here. But Forgive me, people with perfect pitch. I have a feeling if you have perfect pitch, you're probably not playing a short scale instrument anyway, because it would drive you nuts if you were constantly knowing that it was out of tune. Not just the notes being out of tune, but the intonation of the instrument as you go up might drive you crazy. Okay, it's in tune now. Let's see what's going on. Are all Kala U basses suitable for flat wounds, or is there a specific model to look for? I think you said are all. So the acoustic electric ones. So like the ones that have a hollow body, like this one. This one has like less of a hollow body than some of the other ones. You know, there are other. Well, these aren't Kalas, but you get the idea. The ones that have like a sound hole, those should all be able to do the flat wounds. However, like with this one, if you had the metal strings that were not the flat wounds, the round wound strings. Hey, how's it going? If Hey Kevin, how's it going? But if you have the metal strings, the round wounds specifically, not the flat wounds, and then you go to the flat wounds afterwards, you may have to file the grooves on the nut to make them a little wider, or you can buy a replacement nut that's specifically designed for those strings. So, okay. So you stretch the strings. That's good. Okay, but yes, as long as you have one of the instruments with a truss rod, so not the solid body ones, but the hollow body ones normally have a truss rod. This one you get to the truss rod up here, but most of the other ones have a way to get to the truss rod if it has one. I don't think this Aquad thing has one, but it would be if it had one, it would be up under here. You'd see a place for a screw, and I would highly recommend having that so you can adjust the tension on the neck in case the strings put a tiny bit more tension on there. But if it doesn't have that, you won't be able to do that adjustment, and you might warp the neck a little bit. Although I've tested this and it doesn't completely destroy things or anything, but it could. Didn't in my case, it could. So I don't want to encourage you to put flat wound strings on a bass that doesn't have a truss rod. So that's what I would say. So don't put them on the solid body Kalas. And when I say the solid body ones, let me stress again. I don't know that there are flat wounds for the new solid bodies. The solid bodies that have a magnetic pickup over here, so it looks like if you're familiar with like a Fender Precision bass. Okay, that's interesting. The Hutch Hutchinson model. I don't know for sure about the Hutch Hutchinson model because that one was made so far before the strings were made. So I would guess probably, but I would once again second check, do a second check, double check. There's the word I'm looking for, to make sure that it has a truss rod so that you can adjust the neck if something happens to happen to it. So, yeah, and so that it's not putting so much pressure on it because it's just a flimsy piece of wood or something. As long as it's got the truss rod, I think that would help. You can look it up on forums and see if somebody else has done it with the Hutch Hutchinson model. Hutch Hutchinson model. Sorry, let those words blend together. But in my guess would be that it would work. But if you have once again, when we're talking about the nut, if you have the nut for the polyurethane strings, the grooves will probably be wider than the flat wound strings. So there is something could happen where the notes buzz a little bit because they have room to move side to side, and so that may cause a buzz. It might not, but you may have to alter the nut in some way or do a replacement, buy one from Kala that's specifically made for the flat wound strings. And then if you've ever watched videos on how to get the nut off of an instrument, I don't know that there's one specifically for U-bass, but if you watched one on how a ukulele player would do it, it would be the same idea. Sometimes you have to like very carefully cut right along the nut and then kind of pry it off lightly and gently. So I would find a video on how to do that. It should be the same for this, and then how to install the new one. I'm not sure if you glue the new ones or if you just let them kind of sit there, but there's probably information on that if you go that route. But for me, I didn't go that route. This came with the round wound strings, and what I ended up having to do was file the grooves wider on this one. And then I had one where I went from polyurethane to, and this one's not a Kala. So again, this is the one that doesn't have the truss rod that I was talking about. The only problem with this one is the electronics aren't the greatest on it, and so it's not the best. If I could figure out where there's certain rattles that are coming through when I plug it in, if I could figure that out, I'd actually enjoy it a lot more. But as you can tell, it didn't ruin it putting the flat wound strings on this one. And I don't think the rattle is coming from the grooves being too wide, but you can see how wide the grooves are here. Like I can move it side to side in the groove. And mostly the E string, the A string just a little bit, D string just a little bit. But those grooves are too wide for these strings. But it's not what's causing the rattle that I'm talking about. But hopefully that helps a little bit. I got this one because I just thought Kala should make the Journeyman fretless, and then not have the markers anywhere but on the top. And then I think that would be much cooler. And then this brand from China ended up doing that. So I'm like, even if it's a cheap piece of junk, I'm going to buy it and see if it's what I wanted. And I got it to work for a little while. I did a video with it where I compared it to the upright bass. And it's fun when it works, but I had to do a whole bunch of things to try to stop that rattle just to get it to work. I hear that some of the newer ones that they have a different company name. Like this one says like Jacques or something, Jacqueus, like the French version of Jack, but with an S on the end of it. I don't know, but it's stuck on there like a sticker. So the ones that I see now that look exactly like this one are like Bat King, Batking, and from what I've heard from other people, those don't seem to have the same problem that this one did. So it may just be that I bought one that didn't have that figured out then. And maybe they fixed it now, or maybe it's just the luck of the draw. You might get one that works great. You might get one that rattles. So if you want to try that out, that's cool. But I did that as a test to just see if the the flat wound strings would ruin a bass without a truss rod. And the answer is no, it didn't ruin it, but I don't want to encourage other people to do it in case that was just luck, But yeah, that's a great question. Thank y'all for asking about the strings. So yeah, to complete the answer, the California Custom Shop solid bodies, those in particular, and maybe potentially if you had one of the SUB U bases that were discontinued a long time ago. They haven't made those in years. But if you had one of those or the solid bodies that are the California Custom Shops that kind of look like those, I would not put the flat wounds on those. I'm pretty sure they do not have a truss rod. Would it destroy it? Maybe, maybe not. You might get lucky like with that one. It may not do any damage at all, but Kala recommends against it. So that's kind of just something to know. So if they recommend against it, I'd say go with them and not risk a, $1,000 plus California Custom Shop getting ruined by trying to put flat ones on it. But one of the cheaper ones, I would totally take the gamble. What I want to know is, have they made flat wound strings that work for the slightly bigger solid body Kalas? You'd have to use different ones because the ones designed for these have like a nylon core, and you probably want the whole string to be metal when you're using magnetic pickups. But if you know the solid bodies that I'm talking about, let me see if I can find a picture of the Kala solid body just to share with you guys so that you know which one I'm talking about now. So the California Custom Shop ones, I think they're called Custom Shop. Don't put them on those unless they make one specifically for you and say that you can. Let's see. Kala solid body. And then I'm going to type E-bass. Hopefully I'll get a picture of each one so you can see the differences in what I'm talking about. Okay, so these are the new ones where they have magnetic pickups. It's really hard to see there, but there you go. So the magnetic pickups are that little the black bar kind of in the middle of the pick guard. You see there? Okay, so these play more like electric basses. They don't really play like U basses like these other ones. They have a different style pickup. So that's a totally different thing. But now I want to try to find I'm going to type the word California in here to get the other kind. So those do have a truss rod though. So if they did make a flat wound for it, you would be able to use that on that one. But okay, so here are the two different ones next to each other. That's great. So you can see the solid body over here does not have the magnetic pickup in the middle between the neck and the bridge, but over here this one does have the pickup between there. So the one with the magnetic pickup plays more like an electric bass, and the one without it plays more like one of these. However, the one without the magnetic pickup, if you look at it, there's no place for a truss rod. There's no place to get access to it here. There's not one over there either, because when they made those, the metal strings didn't exist. So when they came up with that design, we're just like, oh, well, we don't really, we're going to make it with good quality wood, so we don't really need to adjust the neck for any reason. But you would want to have that ability if you were going to put the flat wound strings on there. Okay, so that's a lot about the strings. I have other videos that cover this a little bit, but that was pretty in depth, so that might be further in depth than the other videos are. And this Lady Hannah's, hello. So thanks for joining. Thank y'all for being here. One thing I haven't done on this live stream yet that I did on all the other ones was play my song Green Tea. That seems to be something I do every single time. So I think I'm going to play that one real quick. If you have any other questions, just let me know. So yeah, I usually play that every live stream, but for some reason I didn't play that one at the beginning. I think it was because I was trying to teach that other groove. So if you missed that other groove, it's actually it's on here as a short, and then I'm just going to play that other groove for you. So if you missed this in the live stream, just when it ends, go back to the beginning of it. You can watch it later. But so let's see. So that's basically the groove. So that's the one that I taught earlier. Both of those use a backbeat. So you might notice, like when I did the solo, I kind of let the backbeat go a little bit so that I could play some in the middle. But in general, both of those have a like click on beats 2 and beats 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can do it this way, where I'm just basically hitting the strings, either with a closed hand or an open hand. It doesn't really matter. You get a slightly different tone, though. But on beats 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if you want to play a note while you're doing the backbeat, sometimes it's nice to strum through the string through there. Thank you, United Effect. I appreciate that. Yeah. So I originally wrote Green Tea on the upright bass, and that's why it has all these percussive things where I'm like drumming on the body. Honestly, with the U bass, when you drum on the body, it doesn't come through as clearly as it does with the upright. So it's a little bit different. But thank you. So do you guys have any questions, any other questions about the U bass, or anything else that you'd like to hear? Maybe questions about a bass line or something? So if you do, just let me know in the comments. So with Green Tea also, I'm just going to tell you the basic idea. I've done this in ones past. Oh, actually, I'll go ahead and answer this question. Is U bass frowned upon in the bluegrass circles? That's a really good question. I've seen bands that use them, so I don't know. Like, you know, if the idea with bluegrass is, it really depends. Some people might be like, oh, that's so cool. It sounds a lot like an upright and it's so tiny. But then other people would be like, yeah, but if we told you to come out without an amp and come play with us unplugged, you wouldn't be able to hear you. So it just depends on if they're like traditionalists about the music being acoustic or not. I feel like it's more to do with that, or if they just think the upright looks so cool and they want that as part of the group. And then I have noticed, not in a bluegrass setting, but in a jazz setting, somebody frowned upon a U-bass because they just didn't get the same percussive vibe out of the U-bass that you can out of the upright easily. So they were just like, yeah, let's stick with the upright and not the U-bass. But it really just depends on the circle. Some circles probably like it okay, and some probably don't like it. But yeah. And then Lady Hannah said, it'd be nice to have tabs for that song, the Green Tea one. They're somewhere. I'm not sure if they're somewhere for free. They might be on Patreon. I'd have to search for them to see if they're there. But they're somewhere. They do exist. Let me go to my Patreon and just see if I can search for it, because I'm not sure if I ever put a version up with a lesson. If I didn't, that's something I could do, and then have that on there. But it might be on my page. It might be on my buddy has a site called Rock Class 101, and I did a version of it over there. But that was a more simplified version where the ukulele was playing the melody, and then the U-bass would just be doing all that stuff. It would just be doing that. So let me see if I search my content. How do I search my content? How do I search my content? Say go to library and see if that helps. And then I'm just going to type in Green Tea, and I'll be able to let y'all know if it's even on Patreon. Okay, Green Tea Simple Bossa Nova Bassline. That sounds like the simplified version. Green Tea U-bass transcription. Let's look at it real quick. Let me see what I have. Maybe I can share it on the screen somehow. I wonder. Okay, that says Rock Class version. I don't think that's the version that we want. Well, it does have the. missing all the backbeats, but there is a version here. Let me think about the best way of sharing that, because yeah, I don't mind if people have that. I just don't know. I don't think I can share on. Yeah, it says I can share the screen. That'd be kind of funny. You'd see my version of this. Let me see if I can do this. Green tea. It says rock class version, so I must have done this for the other website. Does this work at all? I'm really curious now how this works. I'm going to see if it does. Yeah, it does. So yeah, I guess I can share the tab. So the intro is just a bossa nova bass line. So let me scroll up here. And basically all you're doing is you're going. What I do is I didn't do the 5th fret. I do the open D string instead. So I go so that I can do the slaps. Right? And then I add some taps on the body of the instrument too. And actually, this note's just plain and simply wrong. I don't play the 3 on the E string. I play another 5 or another open D string. So I go. Da, 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 da. Yeah. So that doesn't work with the backbeat part. If you see this, you'd replace that with the open D string and replace these two at the open D string as well. And you can see how that looks, because when I start playing the melody, I do throw it in there. Now, this version, like I said, it doesn't have the backbeats, but it does have the melody. So. And notice that the 12 right here, when I get to this part, notice that it's a harmonic. So it has these little things around it. So instead of playing the 12th fret note, I'm actually just harmonic so that I have room to go back down to play while that note's ringing out. Because if I play the note, it would sound more like this. Like really you hear how it's like not as smooth as going, because it can ring out. So it's just a small little detail. But yeah, this is the beginning. Dun 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 da da dun 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 da da dun dun dun. Let's see. Dun dun, and then notice the open strings now, the G string. Got 11 and 12, and then we have this 8 here, and then still the open G string. So I'm getting the root over here, which is a C, and the G is the 5th of that chord. So you kind of see what I'm doing there, hopefully. So here we've got, let me just play everything that's on screen right now. So starting from these double lines right here with the G over the top, this is this part. And then here, this 9, 10, 11 stops. I stopped on the 9, 10, but it's really. And then we got to jump back down to the G real quick. So that's basically the whole thing. And then I did a solo on some version of this. And so there was actually a transcription for whatever solo that one was. I think I was playing as a duet with another ukulele player. So that might be why it's on there. But this part from these double lines, I'll go through it slowly. So if you want to like screenshot it later and just play it off there, you can. So you start here. Okay. And we go all the way down to here. Okay. So that's up just for you to screenshot if you want to. And then the last little part of it is starting on this D chord. Here's the other half of it. D, C, G, and then that last measure, and then it would stop here. And then everything else is kind of like an improvised melody that I went back in and transcribed out. So hopefully that works. If that helps you guys, let me know. I'm going to go off the screen share and come back to you. But thank you all for hanging out here. I hope that was useful and that you can enjoy it. And if you have any other questions about that tab in particular, just let me know. This live stream will turn into a video that'll stay on YouTube. So just you may have to go into a different tab to find the live streams. But yeah, find the live streams and then you can go through and learn this one from that if you like it a lot. And maybe I'll do this again earlier on in a live stream with Green Tea because it is a nice little song that I play every time. Might be nice to just give you guys that much for free. All right. Well, I hope you did that. Thank y'all so much for hanging out here. I've got to go ahead and go. I'm running pretty late for a rehearsal, believe it or not. So I will see you guys later. But have a great December. Cheers. And yeah, and hopefully I'll have a video up for y'all here in a little bit too, before the end of the year. All right. Take care, guys.